Hi, it's Ra, Rishi Kavi Raghudas from Star Presence Astrology, here to give the astrological forecast for Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. It's a chameleon day, as I like to say, a day where more than one planet changes signs, and today it's both the sun and the moon, an unusual day. We haven't had one of these in quite a while. The day begins with the sun at 29 degrees of practical, steady as she goes, lover of the senses, earth sign Taurus. And later in the day, it moves to 0 degrees of the hey, let's communicate and socialize and exercise our intellects, air sign of Gemini. But for most of the day, the sun is at 29 degrees of Taurus. Now, the moon begins the day in the latter degrees of ultra-sensitive, often moody, but generally nurturing water sign Cancer, and then moves later in the evening into the grand and glorious fire sign of Leo. So you'll see me in a lot of gold over the next few days for the sun ruled sign of Leo. The moon begins the day conjoined to Jupiter, the planet of good fortune and expansion, at 22 degrees of Cancer. This is lovely. This is nice, harmonious, optimistic, big picture sort of energy. 6:27 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 9:27 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 2:27 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. A number of hours go by, about 11 hours go by before the next aspect. So we've got a free-floating Cancer moon, which could make us, a little moody today in the midst of all of this. But then in the evening, as we get toward the evening, the moon at 28 degrees of Cancer makes a harmonious, well, it's actually a hard square, 90-degree tension-filled angle to Chiron, called the wounded healer, at 28 degrees of Aries. That's not a lot of fun. Emotional issues could come up around this time. 5:30 p.m. exactly, Pacific Daylight Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 1:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. The moon goes void, of course, for 7 whole minutes, and then the sun enters into air sign of Gemini at 5:37 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 8:37 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 1:37 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And then the moon follows. So the moon is void, of course, until it moves into fire sign Aries at 7:48 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 10:48 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 3:48 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And then, because both sun and moon have changed signs, they make a harmonious 60-degree sextile from 0 degrees of Leo to the sun at 0 degrees of Gemini, which is pretty darn lovely. At 7:57 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 10:57 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and 3:57 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And from there, you have a lunar sextile to Uranus later in the evening, and the moon makes a hard square to Mars to finish it off. But it is a day of big shifts, but overall the energy is pretty darn good. So enjoy the day today. I'm Ra, Rishi Kavi Raghudas from Star Presence Astrology. Now, if you'd like to have a personal reading with me, and you can book it on my website, starpresence.net. Remember, from the very moment that you're born, you've got Star Presence. Enjoy today, no matter what.